Hello and welcome to episode number 53 on the Online Trainers Podcast. Today's topic is, are you fearing success? Hello and welcome to the Online Trainers Podcast, where we go behind the scenes to uncover the latest tactics and strategies top trainers around the world are using to get more clients, dominate their marketplace, and get their clients amazing results. There is absolutely no fluff here. I'm your host, Linh Trinh. Now, over the last 4 days, you know that I've been spending my time here in America, which I completely love because it is truly the land of the opportunity. I mean, the air, you can just smell the air, the weather, the people are optimistic, which is completely awesome. So I've spent the last 4 days with, people like Russell Brunson, some tech entrepreneurs, billion-dollar hedge fund CEOs, Garrett White from Wake Up Warrior, which, his energy is absolutely amazing. And what have I seen in total? 50 other entrepreneurs who are leaders within their fields. And when you're going in, and if you've never been or attended a mastermind before, it is what it should be called. It's a mastermind. You get a group of 25 people collectively. There's one person who stands up there for 30 to 45 minutes and we talk about their business, and then we break down their business, and then we give them 10x strategies to grow. And when you have different people from different industries coming together and cross-pollinating ideas and taking things can be very, very powerful. Now, for me personally, I've never been afraid. Well, I have been afraid to get out there on camera because I do remember, running YouTube videos in 2010, 11 and 12, and they were shocking. The first time I did that was with my MacBook inside my kitchen. But, I've overcome that fear, and whenever there's been a bit of fear, I've just pushed past it. Now, this time was a little bit different, only because I've presented and I've run workshops and I've talked to, 400 or 500 people with not even blinking an eye. I've just done so much talking and obviously so much presenting and so much teaching that it's come natural to me. But when you sit down in a room and I'm presenting, the Online Trainers Club, I'm presenting the other businesses and the clients that I'm working with and what their problems are and how we can 10x their business, I was fearful. And I wasn't aware of being fearful. I just got up and I could not talk. I felt like I had a gulp. I had an apple in my throat, right? I could barely speak. And when I realized this, it was the fact that I could finally, for the first time ever, feel my heart thumping. I could hear the adrenaline pulsing through my veins, right? And I kid you not, like I could hear, if you've got a bit of meat on you, as I do, I'm fairly what they like to call chunky, and I just like to call myself strong and ultimately big and strong, then it's hard to find my pulse sometimes. But here I could feel it thumping through my heart. I could feel my pulse beating. I could feel the sweat in my hands. And I was like, what is going on? This is a very, very foreign feeling. I could hardly talk and think. And in that moment, I really had to dig down and think, well, what was I afraid of? And the ultimate thing that I was fearing was that, I was fearing success. I was fearing at the core fundamentals of things. Yes, I was fearful because I'd never spoken to a billion-dollar hedge fund CEO before, or the fact that he was giving me advice to scale up my business, right? Or I'd have Russell Brunson, who runs, multi companies that are doing 8-9 figures a year. That's a tremendous amount of money and value he offers. You've got the man Garrett J. White from Wake Up Warrior, who is absolutely killing it and really living in his true element, in his true zone. And this guy, when you listen to him talk and when you see him in person, is no different. He is the warrior. He's the embodiment of what he talks about, living the good life, having it all. So here I was presenting what I was particularly wanting to present in terms of the business model, in terms of where I wanted the Online Trainers Club, in terms of who I wanted to help, and the issues that kind of the agency was having, and the issues that, we're looking at trying to scale the business up to push past 7 into 8 figures, right? And so what I needed to look at was the strategies and the concepts behind what I was currently doing and what I needed to do, okay? And for me personally, it was really learning to let go. Learning to let go, because to get to where I am now, I'd had to force myself and be that person who's controlled everything, the person who wants to know everything. But in order to go further and scale up and impact more people and grow the business and obviously, leave a legacy, then I needed to let go. And my fear was, I feared success because I knew that I had to let go, but I didn't want to let go. And everything that you do in your business at this very moment of time, it's because you fear success. If you fear failure, Okay, if you start something and you fear failure, it's also because you fear success. And I'm definitely no fear expert, but this was really vivid in my mind. And hopefully you can see that and make that connection in your business. But I do feel like a lot of you personal trainers out there who, running through that first hurdle, as I always say, you're running a race with all these other personal trainers and they can't jump this hurdle. And if you imagine this as like a big obstacle race course, like what do they call it? They call it, I can't think about it at the top of my head, but it's that huge obstacle race course, right? Tough Mudder. And not many people make it through the first obstacle. And that's where you can come in and you can have a look at the advantages you can pull. So you need to have a look at really your strengths at the moment and almost say, okay, well, what are my strengths? What really are my strengths? If you're not so smart with strategy and marketing, but you're great on camera, and Garrett, says that he's not smart at marketing and sales and all that isn't really his strength. His strength is really empowering and empowerment over video. And so he relies on his strength to compensate for his weaknesses. And that's how the business grows very, very quickly. In terms of my strength isn't sitting inside ClickFunnels. It isn't inside Facebook ads. It isn't inside, on the computer. It's actually on a whiteboard helping somebody get clear and painting the vision and mapping out the strategy to get there from, a helicopter's point of view. So inside your business at this moment in time, you need to have a look at really what are your strengths? What are the things that you have to do in your business? And what are the things that you have to be able to delegate? Okay. And so on the left-hand side, you might just say, well, look, I don't have to write content, but I do enjoy doing podcasts. So you might set up a podcast and then have your podcast, have somebody else transcribe that podcast and put it into a blog post for you. If you hate writing, if you hate your emails, if you know that you have to write emails every single day, why don't you get a transcription service or use CopyTalk, which is an app. It's $59 and transcribe yourself and talk in that app and get an email sent back to you with exactly what you talked. And trust me, the first time you do it, it's going to suck. But when you do it again and again and again, after 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, I'm doing podcasts on the go. When I started this podcast show, I thought I had to sit at my computer at a specific time and I had to have my mic in. Right now, I'm doing it on the go. My iPhone gets sent up to my team, gets put out. Okay, I don't do anything else. And so I really want you to understand, okay, what should you be focusing on and what should you outsource? And for most personal trainers, I do say this and I will say it again, it's about getting yourself out there on camera. Because when I tell you to put yourself out on there on camera and I tell my clients and I tell the people I work with inside the masterclass and six-figure online coach, so get yourself out there on camera. There are some that do it and then there's other people that don't. Okay. And so what you need to understand is that engagement, connection, that's what our community, that's what your prospects are relying on. They're not relying on more content. They're not relying on more ebooks. They're relying on leaders. Okay, they're really relying on leaders who they can trust. And the first form of building trust, if you can't speak to somebody face to face, is to get yourself out there on camera. But in moving in that fear today, your number one task is really to start having a look at where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. Work directly on your strengths, okay, and understand that there is fear that is going to be there. But if you push past the fear, there is success on the other side. And I can tell you that 99% of the times, 100% of the times, that when you push past the fear, I've always seen success. Okay. So when there is something that you should be doing, okay, and you have to ask yourself the question, should I be doing this? Yes. Do I fear this? Yes. Then it's a sure sign that you should be doing it. And so your number one task for today is having a look inside your business and having a look at your strengths, having a look at your weaknesses, using your strengths to compensate for your weaknesses, okay, and start finding a team. But you need to back yourself. See, the problem with all this outsourcing is that if you don't back yourself, you don't back your vision, you're not going to do it. Because the truth is, for a long time inside my business, I could do everything. I learned everything from scratch. I had to, because everything was too expensive and I was bootstrapping this thing. I had no cash. We don't have venture capitalists here in Australia. All right. It's just a common term for people to get cash in the US. And for me, it's just so foreign. So I bootstrapped everything. And so for you inside your business, what I want you to have a look at is start focusing and penetrating and using your strengths. What are they? Are they podcasts? You might want to start a show. But the truth is, if you're not consistent with it, then it's going to fail. okay, and expect to suck the first time. If you start on video, go and do videos consistently every single day, okay? And then I always get the question, well, Lynn, what do I talk about? Or have a look and speak to your audience and speak to your niche and find out their pain points. And like the podcast episode yesterday, walk a day in their shoes and figure out what they feel, okay? Because if you don't know what they feel, you're not going to know what to talk about. And don't talk about the boring stuff. You want to talk about what they feel. And the last thing I want you to do is really pull aside your weaknesses and go, okay, what can I wipe off the board because it's not going to move my business forward? And then the rest of the things, like you should wipe 80% of those weaknesses off because you shouldn't be looking at them at this very moment in time. And you should delegate those other 20%. So then you can use Upwork, you can use online jobs, you can use freelancer.com. There's a variety of them. And all you need to do is go and look on Google how to outsource my work effectively. And you'll find some stuff there. Okay, so what I'm starting to find out is as there is more and more content, there is less implementation because a lot of people get stuck because, you know what, the world is so used to getting information now. Like I was sitting on a plane and my Wi-Fi speeds were so slow and I tapped onto an article and I was like, dude, I'm not reading this. It's taking too long to load. It was probably taking like triple the time, but still, like, it usually takes 2 seconds. Now it's taking 10. I bounced off the page. We are in that impatient stage of our lives where we want things now. Okay. And if you do understand that, you will implement all the tasks. And so what happens is you need to work on your strengths and delegate out your weaknesses if you're going to keep up with the pace. And if that's too hard, you're going to be left behind. The truth is you are going to get left behind. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to tell you you're doing well because it's part of you listening to this daily podcast show. You're going to grow with me. Okay. And here's the truth. If you're ready to take action, and there are heaps of trainers in the Online Trainers Club every single day, I get a couple of people message me saying, Lynn, I've listened to this podcast show and it is awesome. And I've implemented this. My business has changed. And they are doing well because they listen. And if you're not implementing these steps every single day, then you're going to fall behind. But it's never too late to begin. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is right now. So what I want you to do is do a column. What are your strengths? Video, your strength. Content, your strength. Can you share with people? Are you charismatic? Are you sympathetic? Right? And then on your weaknesses, what don't you like doing? And what can you delegate out? And the last thing is go and find yourself an accountability buddy. I'm telling you this because the podcast has grown. You know, we're almost reaching 1,100, 1,200 downloads a day, which is phenomenal, only because I don't promote this with other people. I don't use other people's audiences to promote this. So it's all organic growth. But the fact is there are trainers that are listening to this. And if you're a trainer that's listening to this and you've sent this to another person, I bet you've implemented. But if you haven't, then I bet you that you haven't implemented. And if you want to be successful, you need to be consistent and you need to do the work and you need to implement. So I'm reminding you to go and send this podcast episode to a friend, a family member, a coach who can listen to this and keep you accountable or keep them accountable to you. Okay. And if you do that, you will slowly start unlocking that road to success. You will slowly start unlocking that road to more freedom, more fun, and more finances. Have a fantastic day, and I will probably see you when I get back to Melbourne. Alright, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes, and feel free to leave a review, and that way I can respond and I can take that on board in developing content to serve you. Now, if you're not a part of the Online Trainers Club on Facebook, please do yourself a favor and be a part of the conversation. That's where I add daily tips, tricks, and strategies on how you can build out funnels, how you can get more clients, and ultimately become a better online coach. Thank you for listening.